Ajahn Brahm, how do you solve the problem of indecision? I find it very hard to make decisions.
A lot of times people find it hard to make decisions because they're too afraid to make decisions. So look, sometimes, if I did have a coin, I'd just flip it up. Well, what should I talk on tonight? So, but for me in my life, I've always found it easy to make decisions because I find out there's no such thing as a right decision or a wrong decision. I think did I tell that story about the king who cut his finger? Oh, yeah, this is a good story. Actually, they're all good stories.
And it's not in the book.
It's not in the book, very good. Once upon a time, there was a king going out hunting. And as he was going out hunting, he cut his finger. And had a doctor with him at all times. So the doctor looked at his finger, said, that'll be okay. No, he actually did say it was okay. The king asked, is it going to be okay? And the doctor bandaged it and said, good or bad, who knows? A couple of days later, back at the palace, the finger was infected. So the king said, look at my finger, it's getting worse. So the doctor looked at it and put some ointment on it, bandaged it up again. Is it going to be okay? And the doctor said, good or bad, who knows? A few days later, it was so bad, he had to amputate it. And the king said, what do you mean, good or bad? Who knows? That's bad. You're a bad doctor, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you in jail. So he threw the doctor in jail. Now, doctor, is that good or bad? And the doctor said, good or bad, who knows? Ah, crazy guy, said the king. And a few days later, when the wound had, was good enough, he went out hunting again, but this time he got lost in the forest and he got captured by the forest people. And they took him to their big god in the middle of the jungle to sacrifice him. And they were just about to sacrifice him and they noticed there was one finger missing. So he said it wasn't perfect enough, so they let him go free. And he said, wow, that doctor was so wise. And so he went back to the jail and he freed the doctor. He said, look, you said good or bad, who knows? I thought it was terribly bad. But because I lost my finger, you saved my life. That was a good thing you did. It was a bad thing I did, put you in jail. A bad thing you did, said the doctor. Look, if you hadn't put me in jail, I'd have been with you. I've got all my fingers. I'd have been sacrificed. So just make a decision, good or bad, who knows?
Okay, here's a mother-in-law question. How do you have problems with mother-in-laws? Raise your hand.
Go and careful, mother here.
On my wedding day, my groom was supposed to transfer his loyalty from his parents to me. Thank you. In other words, my needs should become priority over his mother's needs. The main reason that I don't get along well with this Hitler woman is because we feel the constant need to compete with each other for the affection and attention of the same man. Both my mother-in-law and I are probably contributing to the problem, and my husband is actually the one whose behavior plays the role. What is your advice?
Okay, look, just leave it all alone and become a nun. It's much easier. Okay, we can work with it. Remember what I said yesterday, look at your mother-in-law, especially if you're like a Mahayana Buddhist, and look like Kuan Yin with the face of your mother. Or if you're a Theravada Buddhist, and look at her like sort of like a Buddha, but your mother-in-law's face. And then you actually regard her in a different way. And then, okay, if you regard people in a very compassionate, kind way, it changes the whole relationship. So it's something which you can do. And actually look at her with compassion rather than with competing. Go on.
The Bhikkhuni ordination has caused a lot of disharmony in the Sangha in Thailand, even in your own monastery. Why did you ordain the Bhikkhunis when all the elders object? If the ordination was a good idea, why did you have to keep it a secret? If you could have done it a different way, like returning from Wat Pha Pong beforehand, would you have changed your approach?
Okay, first of all, there's total harmony in my monastery in Perth, and all of the people in Western Australia. We're just talking with the president, Dennis Shepherd. He hasn't got one negative comment about the Bhikkhuni ordination. Everybody's totally behind it. And again, hopefully you signed the I-petition on the internet now. There's an I-petition supporting Bhikkhuni ordination with people like Richard Gere. He signed it. and Bernie Glassman, he's a famous Buddhist musician in the United States, and Robert Thurman, that's Uma Thurman's father. So many people have signed that. So one of the reasons I did it, I made a choice, and it seemed the appropriate thing to do. I'd already actually understood that the monks in Thailand, it's proved right from their reaction, there's no way they would actually give me permission to do that. If you actually asked them, pretty sure no, that they would say no. Basically it was a waste of time. When it was a foregone conclusion, they would say no. And even unfortunately that many of the other Western senior monks, I'd already found out they'd made a stand against that. And because I knew what the answer would be, it wasn't really much point asking it. So we just did it. We don't do those things to create disharmony. We do those things, the intention is not to create a problem for anybody. The intention was to actually to give the opportunity for women to become equal in Buddhism.
In fact, the debate on bhikkhuni ordination has been going on for years, and there has never been consensus. So it's either you do it or you never get it done. So, your emptiness, Ajahn Brahm. You made a choice to criticize the Dalai Lama because of his wrong views. I now criticize you for choosing scientific studies to back up your teachings when they accord with them, and brushing aside those that do not and unscientifically choose a sample size of one, i.e. you, yesterday, to say that it was rubbish. That sort of thing you said the scientific community would do to one another when one discovered something or other did not. At least you could do as a scientist is to say you will try to read the details of the study first, and not to bend the facts to suit the faith.
Okay, that's a very good quote. And again, it's very good to be able to criticize a monk. So please, that no monk is beyond criticism. So please criticize. I think the question yesterday, there was some study which I haven't seen. There's too many studies to read them all. And the study was saying something like that if you are mean or negative, you actually become wiser and you see deeper into things and you get more things done in life. I think I remember correctly. And again, that it doesn't really make sense to me. That type of science, and I must say, as a scientist, we call that soft science. Because that science was taking a huge sample and actually trying to find some tendencies, in that huge sample, and actually to prove that you're more effective, to prove that that negativity works. That's such a hard thing to prove. There's so many variables. It's almost really impossible to prove. So actually, as a scientist, I doubt just even the scientific procedures of doing things like that. You have to be very, very careful. When I criticized the Dalai Lama, I criticized him for one thing, which when he said, it was reported, I think in the Daily Telegraph, he said a gay person can't be a Buddhist. And when I heard that, I said, look, that's wrong. He's retracted that since. And I said, that's wrong, because that's against the teachings of the Buddha, against compassion. There's nothing in the sutras, nothing in the teachings of the Buddhas to say that. So actually I wrote to our local paper, because many of the people I knew in Perth, they complained. They said, is that really true, that as a gay you can't be a Buddhist? And I said, no, it's not true. So instead of just saying that, I have to write it in the newspaper. So again, remember, like science, there is hard science and there is soft science. So especially when you get like tendencies like that, when you're trying to sort of see the negativity, is that going to really make a more effective world? I really just deep down can't understand that. And I'd really like to look at the study. Whoever said that, please present me with the study and have a look at it for you. But anyway, thank you for criticizing me.
Keeps him straight.